Can I do a selfie?
Yes.
We'll get this on a little TV show this week, I bet. All right, let's see what we got here. I got to push this around. Everybody say morning drive.
Morning drive.
That's funny because that's a picture, it wasn't a video. You get in the Hall of Fame and you got a TV show, you got to get it on there, right? Wow, what a great day this has been. I got a few notes. I'm gonna try to get to that, but it's been an interesting week. I'll get to this a little bit for those of you guys who watch the show. Early in the week, I had a nice chunk of skin cancer taken out of my arm. I got a whole bunch of stitches in there. Everything is fine, but on a serious note, we're going to get into prevention and all that because we're trying to get folks out on the golf course. We got to make sure they're taken care of. 2 days after that, I had a kidney stone. So getting put in the Hall of Fame later in the week is, a nice little turnaround from early part of the week. The other thing is it's great to see Bill McDonald, former teammate and such a pretty boy in college. Now I think he actually might be fatter than me. That might be better than getting in the Hall of Fame. What have you been eating up here? Billy. It's great to see the job you've been doing up here at South Carolina. I love what you say about the programs here making your job so much easier. Really cool to see that. Bill, I certainly, if my two boys, if they didn't get their putting from their mom and wanted to play college golf, I'd have had them come play for you. You can count on that. But I got to ride home with you after that one. Are we going to be okay? But no, it really is. It's so cool to be here. When I was driving up, a lot of memories come back, and for me, my remarks are mostly going to be thank yous because this game has been so good to me and my family. Quite frankly, it couldn't have happened without a lot of the people sitting in this room. So, did Hap take off? I've already run him off. Oh, there you are, Hap. How many PGA and Web.com wins out of the junior programs here, Hap?
Since 2001, we got 32 victories.
30 tour victories. Really cool stuff, right? And probably what you're not tracking, all the kids that have come out that are great in business, they're great family people, they're great people, and that's what we're all about in junior golf, right? I mean, it's great to get the tour players, that's wonderful, but what it's about is getting kids on the right path so they can have a great life. So I know that there are a tremendous amount of success stories there, and so, for you, Hap, going back to 1983, played in my first SCGA, I was sort of thinking about that coming down, playing in Lexington, living in Tegakay, and then driving. Imagine doing this today. Driving in a 1968 Buick LeSabre that I got from my grandmother, Susu, who was a Pall Mall smoker, with a CB radio, right, in this 1968 Buick LeSabre. You watching this? With a big antenna on the back. Of course, I had a big sticker on the back, and it's blue. The sticker was red. It said, "Yankee, go home," right? I'm driving from Tegakay to Lexington for a practice round and 3 rounds of this golf tournament, back and forth every day. And I was thinking about it, had the VHS tape machine in it, right? Only had 2 VHS tapes. Is it VHS? It's called 8-track. 8-track. Only had 2. I had a Neil Diamond and I had a David Allen Coe. I'm thinking, this is crazy. Can you imagine having a kid do that this day and age? But those memories are so cool. I can remember beating Jason Griffin, who there was no way I could beat Jason Griffin. I mean, Jason from Orangeburg was an unbelievable player. Somehow, wait a minute, I got a telephone call here. I remember getting in a playoff with Jason, and I had missed. What's going on up here? Are you playing a trick on me, Bill? There's some buzzing or something going on up here. You got me on something?
You calling me fat now.
Well, you are a little fat. But I can remember, back in the day we had the 384 Bellotta balls, right? The Titleist balls. I remember winning a playoff and looking down the ball after I made this like 3-footer for par, and it had a big cut in it, and I hit it right on the cut. And it's funny, I mean, that's what, 1983, that's like 80 years ago, right? So coming back and having all these memories sort of flood in is really neat. And you know, who better? I mean, I'm in the business now. I got a 2-hour show every day. 95% of the time, we've got nothing to talk about, but we still talk for 2 hours. So who better to be trained by than Hap Lathrop? We just keep talking, baby. Talk slow and loud. I got to tell this story about Hap. The Georgia team matches, and I got to go back and check the record with Billy McDonald. I don't know that you beat me in Orangeburg. I'm going to have to check that. But the first year, that's when you were skinny. The first year that I played in the matches, we're playing at the Atlanta Athletic Club. So you got all these country boys going to the Atlanta Athletic Club, going to the Big C. That's a big deal, right? So we're going to meet at the old Ramada Inn up here on like Bush River, Broad River, you know, whatever inn close to town here. And we're all there. The moms have all dropped us off. We're packed up. We got our bags. We're ready to go. And here comes Hap. And you remember that the John Candy movie Stripes, where they had that big urban assault vehicle, the big giant, you know, RV looking thing. I mean, this comes rolling in, and here's all these boys. We're like, yeah, we're going to the Atlanta Athletic Club in that. And we're sitting there, and you know that fancy name for that porta cochet. Isn't that what you call it? You, Frank, you're the smartest one up here. You know, so, Leanne, you're the smartest one up here. I got it right, didn't I?
You got it right.
Yeah, so we're all sitting there ready to go, and here comes Hap. Right in that Ramada Inn, right up under that porta cochet, and all the air conditioning units right off the top of that baby. Boom, 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 boom. Hap, that sign that said clearance 11 feet. So now we're driving to the Atlanta Athletic Club in the urban assault vehicle with blue tarps strapped all over it. And it starts raining, it gets cold, we're in the back crying, all huddled up. That might have been the year you beat me, because I was so distressed. Oh, that was so fun. Hap, I'll leave you alone now. Frank, Leanne, best player in the room. Sorry, Rick, best player in the room right here. We know that. Such a great call to get. I believe in July you called me and said, we're going to put you into the South Carolina Hall of Fame. So thank you for your consideration, and it really is a huge thrill. Now I get to have a little fun with some of my buddies that came up over here. I got some of my former teammates from Fort Mill. It's hard to recognize them because when we were teammates, they had hair. God bless David Rundy. Wow, somebody ought to do a movie about you. One of the neatest guys. Bill Stadahar, Shelly Sutton. I learned so much from these three guys. None of them had to do with golf. None of them I can even tell you about, but I learned a lot from these guys. I can remember going to Bamberg to play a state championship down there somewhere back when it was all nuclear and glowing, and we stayed out on a hotel, you know, when you drive up to the hotel. Now, I think they only had one channel on the TV. It was a good channel they had on the TV. And the coach, we had 2 rooms in the budget, the Fort Mill High School team. We had 2 rooms. The coach said Mullins was his name. Yeah, he got a bottle and crawled into his room. And the 6 of us crawled into the other room. You remember that in Bamberg? Yeah, that was really cool. Thank you guys for coming down. It's great to see you. So many people is great to see. Dick Horn, God bless Dick Horn. Has anybody ever loved the game of golf more than Mr. Horn? Really? Where is he? So glad to see you, Mr. Horn. I know they don't let you drive at night anymore, but thank you for coming up. Whitey and Randy Adams, the 2 that pushed the nomination, thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Randy, I don't know any other way to say it. Randy, you're such a turd. I mean, the only tournament that that I didn't have on my resume as a junior golfer. By the way, I was this size when I was a junior golfer. Everybody else was that size. That's, you know, when everybody grew up, everything got levelized. But you never really grew up. But Monroe, Jack, where's Jack? Nance, Carolina's junior, Monroe Country Club. You can't hit it with 80 yards of me, and you beat me in that tournament. I finished second. It was my only chance to win. Did I mention you're a turd? And Whitey, I talk about Whitey more on Morning Drive than I talk about Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods combined. Because, you know, the first really good player that you've ever seen when you were a kid, and you guys know what you're talking about. Rick, who's the first really good player that you saw when you were a kid? Whitey Adams? Me too. And I was always fascinated. One of the reasons I love the game of golf so much is bunker play. Who's a better bunker player than Whitey Adams? And that old bunker down at the lower putting green at TKK, you'd come out there with your shag bag, which I thought was really cool. I didn't know shag bags existed. Go in there with those balata balls, that sand bunker, and hit balls all day long and spin it and spin it. And you'd get me and Randy in there, and it was just so much fun to sit and hit bunker shots with you guys. That was one of the really cool things. I never was a very good bunker player. My last year on tour, I was last, but I enjoyed it because of you. Well, actually, I was second to last. Hal Sutton was last. I got him. Hal's gained a lot of weight too. But this is fun. Who remembers the first time you had a really special round? For me, it was shooting 68 at TKK. I mean, I'd never broken, maybe I'd shot even par before. And I was playing with Whitey, an 8-fingered local, let's call him an entrepreneur, that during college football season was very busy in the area. And my dad, Jim McBride. So glad that you're here, Dad. And I went out playing with an 8-fingered bookie, a half-blind man, and my dad, I'm like 11 years old, and I shoot 68. And we lost $400. Dad, I was 11 years old. One of them was half-blind. The other one only had 8 fingers. Thank God he didn't teach me how to bet. But that was a cool day. Do you remember that, Mr. Adams?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you do. You do. But such great times. And speaking of my dad, one of the really cool conversations we had was as I finished up college, Puggy Blackman, who I'm sure all of you guys know, was mine and Bill's coach at Georgia Tech. He tried to, and his heart was in the right place. He tried to talk me into staying amateur, and after college, and I'd sort of bought into it. And my dad, who was a very good baseball player, University of Tennessee, was hurt his senior year, and he had always been his dream to play professional baseball. And I came home with this idea. You know how you come home with an idea for your dad and your mom, and they're like, whoa, let's talk about this a little bit. I come home, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to turn pro. And he's thinking, this kid's been on the practice tee on the putting green every day since he was 5, before the sun came up and after it went down. And now he's going to be an amateur, and his ears perked up. So we sat down. It was one of the greatest conversations I ever had. I think he said, "You're ape shit crazy." I think was a quote. But he taught me into pursuing. He said, "You got to go follow your dream. You got to go follow your dream." And I wasn't going to do that. And I'm certainly, Puggy was trying to push me in what he thought was the right direction. But thank you for that conversation, because I'd say within 18 months of that conversation, I was on the PGA Tour. Yeah. So thank you for that. I brought along my wife and my 2 boys. Carol, 25th anniversary coming up June 1st. How about that? Bill, can you imagine what all she's put up with in 25 years? Yeah, we have an award for her. My 2 sons, my oldest son, Charlie, who's a little grumpy at me. He's a freshman at Florida State because an hour before kickoff at the Georgia Tech-Florida State game, I said, "You guys are going down." The only time I was right this year. My youngest son, Hayden, Hayden is looking to be a college football player. So it looks like he might end up at Mercer. We're not sure yet. He's a smart kid. Miss America goes to Mercer. Keep that in mind. I got Charlie Roundtree. The passion that your family, your dad, your late dad have had for junior golf in South Carolina, amazing. So proud that my name is on a trophy that's got your dad's name and your family's name on it. So Charlie, thank you for all the hard work and passion that you put into junior golf in this state. Also, as my thank yous continue, Paul Graham, Hap mentioned, tournament director, Hootie and the Blowfish, 21st year. But Paul's full-time job is my agent, and you can imagine he's got a lot of fires he has to put out being my agent. But Paul's a part of the community, as you guys know, here in Columbia. Signing with Paul Graham's the best decision I ever made in my professional life. Thank you, Paul. I get emotional when it has to do with money. I was trying not to cry. My kids are watching me cry. One of the things that I've been so passionate about is growing the game through the platform that I have at Golf Channel. I recently went back and took all the tests to become a member of the PGA of America, and the main reason I did is the mission of the PGA of America is to increase enjoyment of the game, grow the game of golf. So I found myself studying and going back and taking tests to be a member of the PGA of America. I'm thrilled that I was able to do that because there's been so many folks that I've learned so much from that were members of the PGA of America. Dean Alexander, who's a master professional, obviously learned so much from Dean. How to cuss, how to throw a club without it breaking, when to press, when you really don't have anything to say something loudly and emphatically and they will believe it. You know, those types of things. Dean, you've got bad hair. Have you noticed that? Ought to be hair. Ought to be on a goat's butt. How about that? We had some great times at TKK. You can imagine Dean Hart Brown, who I'm sure just about everybody knows, Leanne there, playing a lot of golf. On Sunday mornings, when Ernest Ainsley came on, y'all remember Ernest Ainsley, right? We'd come in, me and Hart and Dean would set our putters up on top of the TV while Ernest Ainsley was in there doing some healing on Sunday mornings. Never really worked for us, but we always had a lot of fun doing that. But Dean, thank you so much. You've been a great friend for so many years, a great mentor. And Dean was, when he was at Colonial in Memphis, we would come in and Carol, the boys, maybe just Charlie Duke. You might not have been along yet, Hayden. We would stay at Dean's house every year, and Dean would, he'd come out caddy in the program, give me some pointers, and I'd always fly home on Friday night there, but I appreciate the effort. This is my PGA Tour career. I would buy the cheap tickets to go home on Friday night, and if I happened to make the cut, I was happy to pay that change fee. So I did that quite a bit. But Dean, thank you so much. The interesting thing, a lot of folks growing up in South Carolina ask me, why didn't you go to Clemson? Why didn't you go to South Carolina? I love both the schools, but my grades weren't good enough, so I ended up having to go down to Georgia Tech. I'm sorry. Now, obviously great schools, but and I'll just tell this story, and I know everybody's had a long day. We'll wrap up here, but Jack Nicklaus actually was involved in that, and when Puggy Blackman called and said, "Hey, are you interested in coming to Georgia Tech?" To be honest with you, I didn't even know where Georgia Tech was. I said, "Where are you?" I had no idea, and he had my great uncle call, who was a Georgia Tech graduate way back in like 1896 or something like that, and he called me, and my great uncle had been a big supporter of Georgia Tech for a long time, and my great uncle called me. Puggy's not real good explaining stuff sometimes, so my great uncle calls and he says, "I hear you're interested in Georgia Tech." He said, "Can I help you get in?" And I said, "Well, I appreciate that." I didn't tell him that they were actually wanting me to come there, not the other way around. And so Puggy calls me, he's all excited. He said, did he talk yet? Talk to you? I said, yeah, he's a little confused. So my great uncle calls back in about 10 minutes after Puggy called him, and he says, I didn't realize that they're actually wanting you to come there. He said, so that changes things a little bit. He said, I'm going to send you a ticket, and you're going to fly down here to Florida, and me and you and Jack Nicklaus are going to play golf, and we're going to talk about this a little bit. And the only answer to that is, yes, sir. And so I flew down to Florida, spent some time with, does this violate any recruiting issues? No. So I flew down, spent some time with Mr. Nicklaus, who loved Puggy, loved Georgia Tech, and ultimately that's how I ended up going to Georgia Tech. And my great uncle ended up funding the Bobby Jones Scholarship. I ended up being the first recipient of it. So that's how I ended up at Georgia Tech. Ended up being, a pretty good decision when you're playing golf with Jack Nicklaus, and he's telling you, you might ought to look right there. So that's how I ended up at Georgia Tech and got to be a teammate with this clown right here. The interesting thing about South Carolina, even though I don't live here, so many things have happened to me that have been so good even after leaving. I remember getting through Q School, was fortunate enough to win on the web.com tour up in Florence. And a cool thing that happened was, trying to think of the year, it was maybe 96 when Norman blew like the big lead at the Masters. Well, he played Hilton Head the next week. I'm playing Hilton Head. He plays poorly. I play great. His penalty was getting stuck with me on Saturday and Sunday. So that was pretty cool when he's the #1 player in the world, playing with him Saturday and Sunday at Hilton Head. And you guys remember that was the year when he got heckled. He's getting heckled on a Saturday. And we get finished, and I'm doing interviews. I love doing interviews. And I'm doing all these interviews about, well, what happened? And I'm like, well, the guy was drunk, and he was yelling, and he came out, and Tony Navarro was on the bag, and Tony Navarro got in there. So, that was a really cool time. Some of my buddies came down, and they were following me. And is it 2 at Hilton Head? It's a par 5? Yeah. So if I hit it straight, I hit it pretty far. So my buddies are walking up the right-hand side of 2, and I get to Norman's ball, and I kept walking. I paced 37 yards, and I'm in the middle of the fairway. I got Greg Norman there waiting on me, and I'm flashing to my buddies. I got him by 37. He made birdie, I made par. The other thing that happened, I got my TV career got started at the Hootie when it was here in town, Fort Jackson, correct? Maybe the second or third year, I was really struggling with my game. And people ask me, why'd you stop playing the tour? Well, if you keep missing cuts like 23 in a row, pretty soon you stop having the opportunity to actually play, right? And I was sort of in a tough stretch, and I was at the Hootie and was hitting some balls, and Gary McCord is there, and I got to be friends with the guys at CBS. And Gary's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm looking for a job. He's like, no, don't look for a job. Other golf pros don't like it, when their buddies are talking about getting a job. That's not good. You don't want to talk about that. He says, you should be in TV. I said, I can't be in TV. I'm not qualified to be in TV. He says, you are an idiot. That qualifies you to be in TV. Do you want me to get you some interviews or not? Again, the only answer is yes, sir. So that ended up leading to some auditions, and that was in '98, and so I got some auditions that pretty soon they were actually writing me checks, and so I've been stealing money at TV ever since. So that happened right here in Columbia. And the other tie that I'm really proud of here is Kelly Tillman from Myrtle Beach, my colleague at Golf Channel. We're fortunate enough to be able to co-host an event at Myrtle Beach every year for the first tee. And that came about because of our relationship with Gene Weldon. Gene's in the back right there. Gene, thanks guys for coming up, and the Weldon clan there. And isn't golf so much about the people you meet along the way? Gene, one of the very best people I've ever met in my life. Because of golf, I've got a great friend for life right there. And I know all of us sitting in this room are very much in that same boat. And Gene's brother, Eddie, was my longtime coach in high school. And so Coach Weldon would have the Fort Mill High School team come down to Gator Hole. You guys remember Gator Hole, right? At the beach. And that was Kelly Tillman's family property. Gene was a pro. Gene taught Kelly. So Kelly would be sitting on the driving range with the, you know, the hat and the ponytail and everything all pink and looking pretty. And me and the boys on the Fort Mill High School team would be trying to hit over that fence and carry the ball up into the church up there, thinking if we could carry this ball over the fence, then she's going to notice and come over and talk to us. I hit over the fence, but I don't think she ever noticed. But that was the goal. It's like watching lizards sit around, you know, when they try to blow that thing up, you know, under their chin. That's what we were trying to do there. But I've known Gene and Kelly since we were 12, 13 years old, right, Gene? So hard to believe that two announcers for the Golf Channel would be on that same driving range right there in Myrtle Beach so many years ago. So really neat to see what's happened with Kelly and really what's happened with golf here in South Carolina. And Frank, you said it best. South Carolina's a small state, but it's got a big heart for golf. And I am so grateful that I had a chance to grow up in this community supported by so many great people. And as I move forward, I'm going to be looking for opportunities because I can't repay Dean for what he's done for me, or you know, I can't go back and repay the great Walter Reynolds or the late Barry Deese, who had an amazing golf program at TKK that got me started in golf. Or I wish I could repay Whitey, but he won so much off of me when I was a kid, I could never do that. But I can't repay these people. But what I can do is try and pay that forward and help the folks that follow. So that's something I'll always be looking to do. But it's a great day. It's great to see you all here. It's a real honor to be in the hall. Thank you very much.
I think we got what we were coming for. Charlie, thank you very much. We'll be watching you.